My people, gather round. Sit down properly and listen. This story I am about to tell you happened many, many years ago in the great city of Lagos. Whether it is true or not, I cannot say for certain, but the elders who told me swore by their fathers' graves that every word is true. So make of it what you will. Get your popcorn, get your drink, settle down comfortably because this tale is long and full of wonders. They say, and who am I to doubt the elders, that there once lived a young man called Chidi. Ah, Chidi. His story is one that will make you laugh, make you cry, and make you wonder about the mysteries of this world. Long, long ago, in a small village in the land of Anambra, there lived a palm wine tapper named Mazi Okonkwo. This man was not rich, oh no, but he was not poor either. He had a small compound, 6 children, and a wife who sold vegetables in the market. They thanked the gods every day for the little they had. Now, among his 6 children, there was one boy, the 3rd child, whose name was Chidi. This boy, my people, was different from other children. While other children were playing in the streams and climbing trees, young Chidi would sit under the Iroko tree reading books borrowed from the missionary school. The elders would shake their heads and say, "This child's head is full of knowledge. He will either become a great man or go mad from too much thinking." Chidi's teacher said he had a special gift from the ancestors. He could look at numbers and solve them as easily as counting his fingers. He could read a story once and recite it back word for word. This boy, his headmaster declared, is destined for greatness. He will go to the university and become a doctor. But my people, as the old saying goes, when a man plans, the gods laugh. One day, and this is where the trouble began, Chidi's father climbed a palm tree to tap wine, as he did every morning. But that morning, the rains from the night before had made the tree slippery as an oiled snake. Mazi Okonkwo's foot slipped. He fell from the very top of the tree, bam, and landed on the hard ground. The whole village heard the news. Mazi Okonkwo has fallen. He is dying. They carried him to the village health center, but the nurse took one look and said, this is beyond my power. You must take him to the big hospital in Onitsha town. But my people, here is where the trouble doubled. To go to Onitsha hospital, you needed money. Money for transport, money for doctors, money for medicine. And the Okonkwo family? They had nothing but empty pockets. Mama Chidi ran through the village like a woman possessed, begging everyone she met, "Please help me. My husband is dying. Just small money, I beg." Some people gave 20 naira, some gave 50 naira, but it was like trying to fill an ocean with a cup. Never enough. By the time they gathered enough money to hire a vehicle to Onitsha, Mazi Okonkwo had already breathed his last. He died in the back of a borrowed truck, with his wife wailing and his children crying. Young Chidi, who was only 15 years old at the time, watched his father die, and something broke inside him that day. He looked up at the sky and made a vow to the ancestors. "I swear by my father's spirit, I will never be poor again. I will become rich so that no member of my family will ever die because we cannot afford a hospital." The ancestors heard his vow. Oh yes, they heard. But as you will soon learn, the path to fulfilling that vow was not straight. It was winding, thorny, and full of suffering. After Mazi Okonkwo died, poverty descended on the family like a heavy cloud. One by one, Chidi's brothers and sisters had to leave school. His older brothers wanted to carry cement at building sites. His older sister was married off early so the family could collect bride price. The household was falling apart. But Chidi refused to give up. He was in his final year of secondary school, and he was determined to finish. He would wake up at 3 a.m. to help his mother prepare vegetables for market, then run to school. Then after school, he would work as a houseboy for a rich family, washing their clothes and sweeping their compound in exchange for food. When he finally wrote his WEAC examination, despite all the suffering, despite studying under kerosene lamp because they had no electricity, despite the hunger that gnawed at his belly, that boy scored 8 distinctions. 8! His teacher said it was a miracle. "Chidi," his headmaster said, "you are too brilliant to waste away in this village. You must go to university." but university needed money. Scholarships denied. Rich sponsors, they all said no. Every door was locked, bolted, and barred. That was when 18-year-old Chidi made the decision that would change his destiny. He decided to go to Lagos, that big, mysterious city where the elders said the streets were paved with gold and opportunities grew on trees like mangoes. Ah, my people, if only he knew what awaited him there.
Chidi's mother wept for 3 days when he told her he was going to Lagos. She knew what happened to village boys who went to that city with empty buckets. Many never returned, and those who did came back either as criminals or as corpses. But she also knew there was nothing left for him in the village. So with a heavy heart, she gave him her blessings, 200 naira, all she had in the world, and a small bag containing 1 extra shirt, 1 extra pair of trousers, and many prayers. Chidi boarded a night bus to Lagos. As the bus traveled through the darkness, passing villages and forests, Chidi's heart was full of hope. He imagined himself finding a good job, making money, sending some back to his mother, and eventually going to university. Ah, the sweet dreams of the innocent. When the bus entered Lagos the next morning and Chidi saw buildings taller than the tallest Iroko tree, roads wider than rivers, and more cars than all the bicycles in his entire village, he was both amazed and terrified. He had the address of a distant cousin in Ajegunle, so that was where he headed. After asking for directions countless times and walking until his feet were swollen, he finally found the place. But when his cousin opened the door and saw Chidi standing there with his small bag, what happened next will shock you, my people. You won't believe it. The cousin looked at him with cold eyes and said, "Ah, my brother, I wish I could help you. But see this room? It is just one small room for me, my wife, and my 3 children. There is no space, and my salary as a driver can barely feed my own family. I cannot add another mouth. I'm sorry." And just like that, pam! The door was shut in Chidi's face. Chidi stood outside that compound as darkness began to fall. He had nowhere to sleep. He had less than 100 naira left. He didn't know a single soul in this massive, heartless city. That night, Chidi slept under a cool breeze. If you know Lagos, you know that under the bridges is where the spirits of the night roam freely, where mad people talk to themselves, where drug addicts gather, where ordinary people dare not venture after dark. Chidi lay on the hard, cold concrete, using his bag as a pillow, listening to strange sounds all around him, shouting, laughing, crying, sounds he couldn't even identify. He was too frightened to close his eyes. He thought of his mother, his village, his father's grave, and he cried bitter tears. For 3 weeks, Chidi searched for any kind of work. He went to construction sites. They said he looked too weak. He went to markets, offering to push wheelbarrows. They laughed at him. He went to restaurants. They sent him away. Every door was closed. Every hand pushed him away. He slept under different bridges, ate from dustbins, bathed at public taps when nobody was watching. His clothes became torn and dirty. His body became thin like a broomstick. His hope began to die. Then one afternoon, weak from 3 days without food, Chidi collapsed at Obalende Junction. The hot sun was beating down on him. The world was spinning and darkness was closing in. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself lying on a mat under a mango tree. An old man with a long grey beard and kind eyes was pressing a wet cloth on his forehead. "My son," the old man said in a gentle voice, "when last did you eat?" Chidi tried to remember. 2 days? 3? 4? He couldn't tell anymore. The old man gave him biscuits and water. "Eat slowly, my son. Too fast will make you vomit." That old man, my people, was called Baba Alhaji. And that meeting was arranged by the ancestors themselves, because what happened next is more surprising. You won't believe that. Baba Alhaji didn't just give Chidi food and send him away. No. This old man looked into Chidi's eyes and saw something special. Perhaps it was the light of intelligence that poverty had not yet extinguished, or perhaps it was destiny calling out to destiny. "What is your name, young man?" Baba Alhaji asked. "Chidi Okonko from Anambra." "And what brought you to Lagos?" Chidi told him everything: his father's death, his brilliant results, his dreams of university, his 3 weeks of suffering in Lagos. Baba Alhaji listened without interrupting. When Chidi finished, the old man was quiet for a very long time, as if consulting with invisible spirits. Then he said something strange. "I was like you once, my son. Very brilliant, very ambitious. Life crushed me like an ant, but I learned something important on these streets. It is not whether you fall that matters, but whether you rise again and what kind of person you become." "Sir, I don't understand," Chidi said. "You will understand in time," Baba Alhaji replied mysteriously. "For now, you are hungry and homeless. I am a beggar, as you can see. I will teach you how to survive on these streets, but you must promise me 3 things. Never steal, never take drugs, and never hurt another person for money. Can you promise?" Chidi promised. And so began Chidi's apprenticeship as a beggar. Baba Alhaji taught Chidi the art of begging: where to sit, how to call to passers-by, where to spot generous people, where to find food, where to bathe safely, which police to avoid. But more than that, every evening after they finished begging for the day, Baba Alhaji would teach Chidi wisdom. They would sit under the stars, eating their small dinner, and the old man would say, "See that man who gave you 5 naira?" Baba would say. "Notice his shoes, church shoes, well polished. His watch, fake Rolex. His bag, expensive leather. That man is pretending to be richer than he is. He gave you money because someone was watching. Learn to read people, Chidi. Real rich people are often the quietest ones." Or he would say, "See that woman who gave you 20 naira with a smile? That is true generosity. She probably has little, but she has a good heart. When you become successful, and you will, the spirits have told me so, remember to be like her, not like the pretenders." Chidi spent 2 whole years sitting on that mat at Ubalende Junction beside Baba Alhaji. 2 years watching the world go by. 2 years learning about human nature, about the difference between looking rich and being rich, about kindness and cruelty, about hope and despair. His brilliant mind didn't waste away during those years. Instead, he was studying, observing patterns, understanding human behavior, learning lessons that no university could teach. Then one day, something happened that would change everything. What happened next is more surprising. You won't believe that. One evening, Baba Alhaji started coughing. Not just ordinary coughing, but deep, rattling coughs that shook his whole body. Blood appeared on his lips. "Baba," Chidi cried in alarm, "you are sick. We must take you to a hospital." "With what money, my son?" Baba Alhaji smiled sadly. "We beggars don't go to hospitals. We just die when our time comes." "No, Baba, don't talk like that." But over the next few days, Baba Alhaji grew weaker and weaker. Chidi could see that the old man was dying. And it seemed Baba Alhaji knew it too, because one evening he called Chidi and said, "My son, my time in this world is ending. Before I go to join my ancestors, I must tell you my story. All of it, because I have something to give you, something that will change your life forever." And so, under the stars, with the sounds of Lagos humming around them, Baba Alhaji told Chidi the most incredible story. "My real name," he began, "is Alaji Musa Ibrahim. Long, long ago, I was not a beggar. I was one of the richest merchants in all of Nigeria. I had houses in Lagos, Kano, and even London. I had cars, Mercedes, Range Rover, Peugeot. I had 3 wives and 11 children. When I walked into a room, even governors would stand to greet me." Chidi's eyes grew wide. This beggar in rags was once a wealthy man? It seemed like a story from the old tales. "But I had a younger brother," Baba Alhaji continued, his voice heavy with sadness. "His name was Suleiman. I loved him, helped him, gave him money to start his own business. But Suleiman was greedy and jealous. When his business failed, instead of working hard to recover, he plotted against me." The old man coughed again, and Chidi helped him drink some water before he continued. "Suleiman planted drugs in one of my shipping containers and reported me to the authorities. I was arrested for drug trafficking. Me, a respected businessman. I was sentenced to 15 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit. 15 years in Kirikiri prison, my son. While I was locked away, Suleiman took everything: my businesses, my houses, my wealth. My wives divorced me, except one who left after 5 years. My children believed I was a criminal and disowned me. When I came out of prison, I had nothing. That is how I ended up on these streets. Chidi had tears running down his face. Baba, this is so painful, so unfair. Life is not fair, my son. But listen, because this is where the story becomes interesting. What I'm about to tell you next is more surprising. You won't believe that. Baba Alhaji reached into his torn agbada and brought out a small leather pouch. From it, he pulled out a key and some papers. You see, Chidi, when I suspected Suleiman was planning something evil, I hid some of my wealth where he could never find it. I filled a shipping container with cash, dollars, pounds, gold bars, and documents showing ownership of secret properties. I stored that container in a private warehouse, paid for 50 years in advance. That was 33 years ago. The container is still there, waiting. Chidi could hardly breathe. Baba, you mean? Yes, my son. I am giving it all to you. This key, this address, this container, and everything in it. It is yours now. Use it to build the life you deserve. Only promise me one thing. No matter how rich you become, never forget what it feels like to be poor. Never forget to help others who are suffering. Promise me. I promise, Baba. I swear by my ancestors. 3 days later, Baba Alhaji died peacefully in his sleep, a small smile on his face. Chidi wept like he had lost his own father. He organized a proper burial for the old man. Then, with trembling hands and a pounding heart, he went to find the warehouse. The warehouse was in Apapa, guarded by high walls and barbed wire. When Chidi showed the key and receipts to the Chinese owner, Mr. Wong, the old man's eyes widened in shock. Alaji Musa's container? After all these years? Come, come. They walked through rows of containers until they reached one at the very back, covered in rust and dust. Chidi put the key in the lock. His heart was beating so hard he thought it would burst from his chest. The lock clicked open. When they pulled the doors wide, what Chidi saw inside made him nearly faint. The container was packed full of wooden crates and metal boxes. They opened them one by one. My people, what they found inside: bundles and bundles of money, dollars, pounds, marks, gold bars that glittered like the sun, property documents. By the time they finished counting everything, Chidi had become the owner of over $15 million. From beggar to millionaire in one day. Can you imagine? The ancestors had answered Baba Alhaji's prayers. But Chidi remembered his promise. He didn't just take the money and forget about his beggar days. No, no, no. What he did next is more surprising. You won't believe that.
Chidi used the money wisely. He started businesses, logistics, trading, real estate. Within 3 years, his 15 million became 30 million. He married a good woman named Ngozi, built a mansion in Lekki, bought expensive cars, and had 3 children. But every single day, Chidi would do something very strange. He would dress up in his expensive clothes, kiss his wife and children goodbye, drive his G-Wagon to a hidden location, then change into beggar's rags and return to Obalende Junction. Yes, my people, this millionaire would spend his days sitting on a mat begging for coins just like before. Why? Because of his promise to Baba Alhaji. He wanted to stay humble. He wanted to remember what poverty felt like. But more than that, he had a bigger plan. While sitting there as a beggar, Chidi was watching, observing, studying people. He was looking for good people who had fallen on hard times. People like Baba Alhaji had found him. And when he found such people, he would secretly follow them, investigate their stories, and if they were truly deserving, he would change their lives. Sometimes he would pay school fees for their children. Sometimes he would give them money to start businesses. Sometimes he would settle their debts, but he always did it anonymously. They would receive envelopes with cash and a note saying, "From someone who was once where you were." For 10 years, Chidi lived this double life. Beggar by day, millionaire by night. Nobody knew. Not his business partners, not his church members, nobody except his wife. But as the elders say, a secret is like smoke. Eventually, it will rise and be seen by all. What happened next is more surprising. You won't believe that.
Remember I mentioned that Chidi helped many people over the years? Well, one of those people was a fellow beggar named Emeka. Chidi had given Emeka 2 million naira anonymously, and Emeka had used it to start a logistics company. 5 years later, Emeka had become very wealthy. His business was worth over 200 million naira. He had been searching everywhere for his mysterious benefactor to say thank you. Then one day, one of Emeka's drivers saw something strange. He saw a beggar at Obalende Junction enter a public toilet in rags and come out 30 minutes later in expensive clothes, entering a G-Wagon. Oga, the driver told Emeka, that beggar and that rich man are the same person. Emeka didn't believe it at first, but he investigated for 3 months, watching, following, confirming. It was true. Brother C, the beggar, was actually a millionaire. But why? Why would a rich man disguise himself as a beggar? Then Emeka saw Brother C give an envelope to a poor family, and suddenly everything made sense. Brother C was the anonymous benefactor. He had been helping people all these years. So one day, Emeka confronted Chidi publicly at Obalende Junction. In front of everyone, this rich man in an expensive suit knelt down before the beggar and said loudly, Brother C, I know who you are. You are my savior. You gave me 2 million naira 5 years ago when I had nothing. You are not a beggar. You are a millionaire pretending to be a beggar so you can help people. Thank you. Thank you. The crowd gathered, shocked and confused. A rich man kneeling before a beggar? What kind of madness was this? But then, other people in the crowd started recognizing themselves in the story. That envelope I received 3 years ago, that was from Brother C? The school fees someone paid for my children, Brother C? The hospital bill someone settled, Brother C? The secret was out. The story spread through Lagos like wildfire. Newspapers came, television crews came. Everyone wanted to know about the millionaire beggar. What happened next is more surprising. You won't believe that. When the story became public, Emeka came to Chidi with a proposal. Brother C, let us join forces. Let us create a foundation to help people properly. I am wealthy now because of you. Let me help you help others. And so they created the Baba Alhaji Foundation for Second Chances. But they didn't run it like normal Nigerian charities that organize big parties and give small donations just for show. No, they ran it Chidi's way. Carefully investigating each person, making sure the help went to those who truly deserved it, following up to ensure the money was used wisely. Other wealthy people joined. Some of them were people Chidi had helped secretly years before, who had now become successful. They all had the same philosophy: never forget where you came from and use your wealth to lift others. Within 5 years, the foundation had helped over 10,000 families. They built schools, hospitals, and skill training centers. They gave business loans to entrepreneurs. They paid school fees for brilliant children whose parents couldn't afford it.
But the most beautiful thing, many of the people they helped went on to help others. The chain of kindness kept spreading, rippling outward like a stone thrown into a pond. And Chidi, he continued his mission, though not as a beggar anymore. He found other ways to stay humble and connected to the poor. He taught his own children about suffering and compassion by taking them to the slums and streets. Now, my people, there is one more part of this story I must tell you before we finish. It is about how Chidi cleared Baba Alhaji's name and punished the wicked brother. What happened is more surprising. You won't believe that. When Chidi first got the money from the container, he also found Baba Alhaji's children. There were 3 of them: Adekunle, Fatima, and Ibrahim. For 18 years, they had lived with shame, thinking their father was a drug dealer. When Chidi told them the truth, that their father had been framed, that he was innocent, that he died as a poor beggar on the streets, they wept bitter tears. The guilt nearly destroyed them. They had abandoned a good man because they believed lies. Chidi gave each of them $1 million from the container money. This is your inheritance, he said. Your father meant it for you. But Chidi didn't stop there. He hired the best lawyers in Nigeria and told them, find evidence that Baba Alhaji was framed. Find proof of Suleiman's wickedness. It took 2 years, but they found it. Confessions from retired corrupt police officers, paper trails of bribes, evidence of the planted drugs, everything. Armed with this evidence, Chidi went to visit Suleiman. The old man was now 85 years old, living alone in a big mansion in Kano. Even his own children had abandoned him because he was so wicked and suspicious. When Chidi showed Suleiman the evidence, the old man's face went pale with terror. I could send you to prison, Chidi said calmly. You would die there, just like your brother suffered. Or you can transfer back all the properties you stole from Alaji Musa to his children and write a public confession clearing his name. You have 30 days to decide. Suleiman had no choice. Within 30 days, properties worth $8 million were returned to Baba Alhaji's children. Suleiman's confession was published in all the newspapers, clearing Alaji Musa Ibrahim's name forever. Finally, after 30 years, justice was served. Baba Alhaji's children could walk with their heads high again. And Suleiman, he died 2 years later, alone and bitter, his own children refusing to attend his funeral. A sad ending for a man who destroyed his own brother out of jealousy. Baba Alhaji's children joined the foundation and dedicated their lives to honoring their father's memory by helping others. The foundation grew even bigger, spreading across Nigeria. My people, let me now finish this long story by telling you where things stand today. Chidi is now in his 50s, one of the most respected businessmen in Nigeria. His wealth has grown to over $200 million. But if you ask anyone who knows him, they will tell you Chidi is different from other rich men. He has not forgotten where he came from. His 3 children, Chibueze, Adaeze, and Obina, have all learnt their father's lesson. Chibueze even spent his 18th birthday sitting as a beggar at Obalende Junction just to understand what his father had experienced. Now, all 3 children work with the foundation, ensuring the legacy continues. The Baba Alhaji Foundation has now helped over 50,000 families. But more than that, they have created a chain of kindness. People who were helped have gone on to help others. The ripple effect continues spreading. One woman whose hospital bills were paid by the foundation became a doctor and now runs a free clinic for the poor. One man who received business capital now employs 50 people from the slums. One young girl whose school fees were paid is now a lawyer who provides free legal services to poor people. The stories multiply like the loaves and fishes in the Bible. Now, my people, as we come to the end of this tale, let me ask you, was this story true? Did it really happen? Or is it just a folk tale invented by clever storytellers? The elders who told it to me swore it was true. But whether it is true or not doesn't matter. What matters is the wisdom contained in it. This story teaches us that your current suffering is not your final destination. Chidi went from sleeping under bridges to owning mansions. It teaches us that true wealth is not what you keep for yourself, but what you use to help others. Chidi is truly rich not because he has millions, but because he has changed thousands of lives. It teaches us that humility is a choice you must make every day. No matter how high you climb, you must remember the ground you came from. It teaches us that one act of kindness can create ripples that spread forever. Baba Alhaji helped one person, and that one person has helped 50,000 families. It teaches us that wickedness may prosper for a time, but in the end, justice will prevail. Suleiman stole everything and lived well for many years, but he died alone and bitter while his brother's name was cleared. Most importantly, it teaches us that our legacy is not what we leave to people, but what we leave in people. Baba Alhaji left no money to his children. Suleiman took it all, but he left wisdom in Chidi, and through Chidi, that wisdom has touched countless lives. So, my people, as you go from here, remember the tale of the beggar in day and millionaire in the night. Remember that whether you are rich or poor today, you have the power to change someone's tomorrow. Remember that true wealth is measured not by what you have, but by what you give. And if you ever see a beggar on the street, look at them with kind eyes. Who knows? There might be a millionaire in disguise testing your heart. Or they might be the next Chidi just waiting for their Baba Alhaji to come along. This is where my story ends. May the ancestors guide you, may the spirits protect you, and may you use whatever blessings you have to lift others up. I have spoken. The story is finished. Kepe. That is how we end folk tales in my village, with a sharp clap of the hands. Now, who has questions? Who has comments? Who will tell the next story I should narrate?